Story 1. It was a cold, moonless night when I found myself alone in the old cabin deep within the woods. The flickering candlelight was my only source of comfort, casting eerie shadows on the aged wooden walls. I had come here to escape the chaos of the city, seeking solitude and a chance to reconnect with nature. Little did I know that solitude would soon turn into a horrifying encounter with the unknown. The cabin had been in my family for generations, a place of cherished memories during summers long past. Now, it stood as a relic of the past, hidden away from civilization. As I sat by the fireplace, sipping on a cup of tea, I couldn't help but feel a sense of unease settle over me. The isolation was unnerving, and every creak of the old timber seemed amplified in the silence. Around midnight, I decided to retire to my bedroom, a cozy alcove on the second floor. The wind howled outside, rattling the windows and causing the curtains to dance in eerie synchrony. I wrapped myself in the thick blankets and tried to shake off the creeping feeling that something was not quite right. As I drifted into an uneasy slumber, my dreams took a dark turn. I was standing in a forest shrouded in mist, with no recollection of how I got there. The trees twisted and contorted, their branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. An icy breeze whispered through the woods, carrying with it voices, faint, distant, yet unmistakably human. I followed the whispers deeper into the forest, my heart pounding with fear. The voices grew louder, becoming distinct murmurs, but I couldn't make out the words. Panic set in as I realized I was utterly lost, surrounded by the sinister embrace of the woods. Suddenly, I awoke with a jolt, drenched in sweat. It took a moment to realize that the whispers were not confined to my dreams, they were very much real. I strained my ears, trying to locate the source of the unsettling sound. The voices seemed to emanate from the walls themselves, as if the very structure of the cabin was conspiring against me. I stumbled out of bed, clutching the candlestick like a weapon, and made my way downstairs. The whispers grew louder, and I could now distinguish fragments of words. "Leave," one voice implored. "Alone," another urged. "Hurry," a third voice hissed. My heart raced as I scanned the room, trying to pinpoint the source of the voices. The candlelight flickered ominously, casting shifting shadows that seemed to mimic the whispers. I felt an oppressive presence in the room, as if I were not alone. I slowly made my way to the front door, desperate to escape the cacophony of voices that threatened to engulf me. But as I reached for the doorknob, it wouldn't budge. Panic welled up inside me as I realized I was trapped. The whispers had become a frenzied chorus, growing louder and more insistent with each passing second. In my desperation, I turned to the fireplace and grabbed a log, determined to break a window and flee. But as I swung the log towards the glass, an unseen force stopped it dead in its tracks, sending a shockwave of pain through my arms. The whispers reached a deafening crescendo, and I fell to my knees, overwhelmed by terror. That's when I saw them, the shadowy figures emerging from the walls. They had no distinct form, just swirling masses of darkness, but their eyes glowed with malevolent intent. They advanced towards me, their voices merging into a chilling chant that echoed in my mind. I closed my eyes, my world reduced to darkness and the relentless chanting. In that moment, I understood the cabin's dark secret. It was a vessel for trapped souls, cursed to whisper their torment to anyone who dared enter. I don't know how I survived that night, but when I awoke, the cabin was bathed in the soft light of dawn, and the voices were gone. I stumbled out of the cursed place, vowing never to return. To this day, I can't erase the memory of those whispering shadows, and I'm haunted by the knowledge that some truths are better left buried in the depths of the night. Story 2. The moon hung low in the sky, casting an eerie pallor over Blackwood Manor. I had inherited this imposing mansion from a distant relative, but little did I know the chilling secrets that lurked within its grandiose walls. I arrived late in the evening, the journey through the dense woods to reach the mansion leaving me disoriented and weary. The night was silent, save for the occasional hoot of an owl. As I entered the grand foyer, a profound sense of isolation settled upon me, and I couldn't help but shiver. The first night in Blackwood Manor was eerily quiet. I had retired to the master bedroom, a room adorned with antique furniture and heavy velvet curtains. The bed, draped in rich brocade, seemed almost too inviting, as if it held a dark promise. I awoke to a soft rustling sound, like the whisper of fabric brushing against fabric. The room was bathed in an eerie, bluish light. I sat up, feeling a strange compulsion to investigate the source of the disturbance. As I moved through the dimly lit corridor, the rustling grew louder, leading me to a narrow door that I hadn't noticed before. It was slightly ajar, and the pale light emanated from within. I pushed it open slowly, revealing a hidden chamber filled with ancient books and dusty relics. But it wasn't the contents of the room that drew my attention. At the center of the chamber, a spectral figure hovered, its form shifting and wavering like smoke. Its eyes, two hollow voids, fixated on me with a malevolent intensity. I stumbled back, my heart racing, as the apparition reached out a spectral hand towards me. The room echoed with a mournful whisper, "Help me." I fled from the room, my pulse thundering in my ears, and barricaded myself in the master bedroom. The night seemed endless as I huddled beneath the covers, haunted by the ghostly encounter. The next day, I delved into the history of Blackwood Manor, determined to uncover the truth. It was then that I stumbled upon the dark tale of Eleanor Blackwood, a woman accused of witchcraft in the late 17th century. She had been imprisoned in the hidden chamber, where she met a gruesome end, her restless spirit forever bound to the mansion. As night fell once more, I couldn't shake the feeling that Eleanor's vengeful spirit was still lurking. I lit candles throughout the mansion, their flickering flames casting unsettling shadows. But the darkness was relentless, seeping into every corner of the mansion. I heard her whispers again, softer this time, but filled with a desperate longing. She pleaded for release, for forgiveness, for a chance to leave the cursed mansion. My heart ached for her, but I knew not how to help her. As the nights passed, I grew weaker, my sleep disrupted by her relentless presence. I knew I had to find a way to free her from her eternal torment. With each passing day, the mansion seemed to decay further, as if it were a reflection of my own deteriorating sanity. One fateful night, I ventured into the hidden chamber once more, armed with knowledge and determination. I recited an incantation I had found in one of the ancient books, beseeching the spirits to release Eleanor's soul. In that moment, the room trembled, and the spectral figure of Eleanor began to dissipate, her anguished cries turning to sorrowful sighs. As she faded into the ether, she whispered her gratitude, her presence finally free from the shackles of Blackwood Manor. With Eleanor's departure, the mansion fell into a profound silence, and the darkness that had plagued it for centuries seemed to recede. I knew I had done the right thing, but the memory of those haunting nights would forever linger, a reminder that some legacies are best left undisturbed. Story 3. Nestled deep in the heart of the Appalachian woods, the Whispering Pines Inn was a place of solitude and refuge. I had stumbled upon it during a backpacking trip, drawn to its rustic charm and the promise of escape from the world's relentless chaos. The night I arrived, a thick blanket of fog had settled over the inn, obscuring it from view until I was nearly at the front door. The ancient building exuded an otherworldly aura, its time-worn exterior illuminated only by the flickering lanterns that lined the path. Inside, the inn's dimly lit interior was a stark contrast to its welcoming facade. The creaking floors and the rustling of the wind outside created an unsettling symphony. An old man named Elias, the inn's caretaker, greeted me with a knowing smile. His eyes held a hint of sadness, as if he had seen more than his fair share of strange occurrences. After a simple meal in the inn's dining room, I retired to my room, a cozy chamber with a four-poster bed and a small fireplace. The silence of the night was deafening, broken only by the distant hoot of an owl. As I lay in bed, the room grew colder, and I pulled the covers tightly around me. That's when I heard it, the softest of whispers, like the rustling of leaves in the wind. It seemed to emanate from the very walls of the inn. I sat up, straining to listen, but the whispers were barely audible. They were neither threatening nor comforting, they simply were. I dismissed them as the product of an overactive imagination and attempted to go back to sleep. But the whispers persisted, growing louder and more distinct. They were the voices of countless people, speaking in hushed tones. I couldn't make out the words, but their urgency was palpable. It was as if they were trying to convey a message, a plea for something I couldn't comprehend. Intrigued and unnerved, I left my room and followed the whispers down a dimly lit corridor. The voices seemed to lead me deeper into the inn, as if guiding me toward some hidden truth. I arrived at a door that I hadn't noticed before, slightly ajar. The whispers emanated from within, beckoning me to enter. The room was bathed in an eerie, bluish light, and at its center stood a large, ornate mirror. As I approached the mirror, my reflection began to change, morphing into faces I didn't recognize, men, women, and children, all trapped within the glass, their eyes filled with a haunting sadness. The whispers grew louder, their words now clear and unmistakable. "Help us," they implored. "Set us free." In a daze, I reached out to touch the mirror, and as my hand made contact, a surge of energy coursed through me. The room trembled, and the mirror shattered into 1,000 pieces, releasing the trapped souls into the night. The inn seemed to sigh with relief, its walls no longer burdened by the weight of the lost souls. The whispers faded into the distance, and a profound stillness settled over the building. I returned to my room, my heart heavy with the knowledge of what I had witnessed. The following morning, I found Elias in the inn's dining room, his eyes no longer holding that hint of sadness. "You've done a good thing," he said, his voice filled with gratitude. As I left the Whispering Pines Inn, I couldn't help but wonder about the souls I had helped free. The memory of that haunting night would forever stay with me, a reminder that sometimes, the most chilling experiences are the ones that lead us to the most profound truths.